Dave Meltzer's star ratings for TNA Genesis revealed. Let's get it one time.
EQ speaks and vinyl cracks. Feel the drop, it takes you back. Heartbeat sync with dusty tracks. A sound attack, no plan, no map.
All right, what's up? What's good? Your boy BQ. Welcome back to the most negative YouTube channel on the planet. We had a really good month here on the channel. Lots of new subscribers. Hoping to get about 9 or 10 more by the end of the month. So maybe that's you. Maybe you're a first timer. Maybe you are one of those 9 or 10. If you're one of those individuals here on a regular basis, much love to you. I appreciate you coming back every single time that I drop these uploads and we're talking TNA. So today we're going to talk the star ratings from Dave Meltzer.
Oh, hi, Mark.
And I thought they were pretty fair, to be honest. If I were to sit here, and I'm not a star guy, I'm not really one to give stars or care about stars. But if I were to be someone like that, I think these are very, very fair. To me, there's only one fair rating system on the planet, and it's 1 to 3. It's either 1, something sucks, 2, something's okay, 3, something's good. That is the most fair rating system to me. Someone taught that to me back in the days. There's no room for interpretation. There's just it's either good, it's okay, or it's bad. One of the 3. There's no, well, it's super duper good and none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? So we don't got to worry about that too much with TNA. Like Dave Meltzer's not going to put 6.5 stars on something, even though I think it's worthy of very, very high praise at times. What he's looking for in a match is not I don't even think what the average wrestling fan looks for in a match. There's a certain audience that loves what he does, and the ones that the more flips, the more dives, the more ducks, the more dodges that happen, they think that equals star ratings. um I I'll get into him right here real quick, but when Josh Alexander took on Steve Macklin at the last pay-per-view, I was saying, to me, this is what I would consider a 5-star match. I said Dave Meltzer's going to give it 3.5, and he did. Um, but the storytelling that went behind that and the intensity and all that, like that's the kind of stuff I look for. Like I don't really care how many Canadian destroyers you hit and how many you kick out of, but oh man, could you imagine Hannafin calling AEW?
Oh, and a kick out.
He would have know what to do with himself with all those kickouts. All right, so let's get into this one time for your mind, the star ratings by Dave Meltzer. So the first one was the X Division title match,
The limit does not exist.
and that was the X Division champion Moose,
Damn you, Moose.
and the challenger was Ace Austin.
Is this your card?
Yes, oh my gosh.
It's not, is it?
No,
So he gave this one 4.25 stars. This is the one I think that I've seen a little bit of chatter about, where people were saying, well, it probably wasn't that good. I thought it was a great opener personally, because it had a little bit of heat behind it, had a little bit of meaning. It wasn't your average X Division match. I mean, not that storytelling matters to Dave Meltzer, but it had a little bit of story, a little bit of heat. You know what I'm saying? It had some meaning, and we were pretty sure Moose was going to win. The only issue I really had with the match, and I talked about this in my review, was that when Ace Austin came off the second rope and Moose caught him with the spear, that should have been the finish. Not, oh, Ace Austin kicks out of the spear because we got to make him look strong, and then Moose has to later spear him in the back and then hit him with a spear again, because at that point it's a cold finish. And you've already got people, not already, but we know that in the future, in the main event of the show, they're already kicking out of each other's finishers. So they shouldn't be kicking out of finishers in the opening match. So that was my only real beef with it. But I thought it was an excellent match. I thought it was one of the better matches on the show. So 4.25. I can definitely live with that. Next match was a System, Eddie Edwards.
Son, I'm gonna need those 2 hams back.
I don't have any hams.
Lift up your shirt, son.
And Brian Myers.
What is she going to think when she comes in here? Oh, look, he's got a billion toys.
versus King of the Rah Rah speech.
Those times of the rah rah speeches and like getting everybody up, because like nobody really get motivated off that stuff anyway.
And he's also the star of the hit TV show Vinyl Obsession. I'm talking about Eric Young. And then there's also his tag team partner, my guy, and yours, Steve Macklin. So he gave this 3 1/4 stars, and that's very fair. This match really wasn't that good. It was basically what you expected out of these two teams. These are all guys who are good. They're all got a little size to them. They can all work. You know what I mean? But it was just what we expected. We already seen him mix it up in 6-man tag prior to this, so we'd seen everything. So I think that's very, very fair. Also, I thought the pacing of the show, I talked about this as well in my review, was very good. The way they laid out all the matches, because nothing felt like, or at least in my opinion, nothing felt like it was just like nothing stuck out like a sore thumb. Nothing was a green shirt with an orange hat in a sea of blue. It just I thought it flowed very well. So this being your second match, which was kind of okay, it made rolling into the Knockouts tag team match that much smoother, because that's usually the one. And I think that's one of the reasons it's usually on the pre-show, but that's usually the match. It's like, oh man, it was all good with that Knockouts tag team match. Like it just doesn't hit like the other matches a lot of the time. So yeah, 3 1/4. It was just really nothing to write home about. It was basically a match you would see on Impact. And then after that was as I just said, the Knockouts tag team title match. Who Yeah, that's right. I don't know why I was forgetting the name of our favorite tag team, Spitfire.
Tell me right now that I'm just a job. Tell me to my face.
You're just a job.
And they took on the team of Ash by Elegance.
Come on, Teddy. Come on, Teddy.
And Heather Reckless.
That's an erection.
Yeah. It's all her fault.
So he gave this 2 stars, and it was deserving of 2 stars. It was I thought Danny Luna really stood out here from a wrestling standpoint. And I didn't think the match was as bad as some people were saying. Some people really didn't like this. Or maybe they liked it, but they just said it wasn't good. And like, the match was fine to me. I don't understand why Ash and Heather didn't come out as Eagles cheerleaders. I thought coming out like Cowboys cheerleaders and then doing the Go Eagles chant felt kind of flat, because the whole arena can't hear the chant. You know what I'm saying? So this match was fine. It just was what it was. Like, this was basically what we expected it to be. The finish to me was, I didn't agree with the finish at all. Like, I don't know why we're keeping the belts on these girls. The TNA is really trying to make them the greatest Knockouts tag team of all time. Of all the teams that they have had come down the pipeline, this is the one where they're like, these are going to be our girls. These are going to be the top of the division. Like, that's freaking crazy. So after this, we had what's probably the best match on the show. Tessa Blanchard.
Oh, I don't like this. That if the Nuggets don't win this,
Taking on the departing Jordan Grace.
Get me out of here.
So we are officially retiring that soundbite. That is from Happy Gilmore, when the crazy old lady at the nursing home jumped on top of Happy's car and said, "Get me out of here." Yeah, I just did. What do you give this? 4.5. For me, this is like 5 stars you get. I think the only thing that really killed the match was that Tessa couldn't get the turnbuckle pad off, and she tried it twice. She tried it 2 different with 2 different turnbuckle pads. She got the second one off because she just freaking angrily fucking pulled that shit off. The bottom one she never did. The announce team was doing their best to sell it that she did. She did not get that removed. But this match was what everyone knew it was going to be. Everyone expected this. Everything else in the match was flawless. I think there was I think Tessa tried to do a double underhook Canadian destroyer at one point, and that was a little sloppy because that seems like a very hard move to pull off. The Canadian destroyer is one thing, trying to do with a double underhook DDT, like that's a little much. I don't even see how you can pull that off. But yeah, 4.5, I believe was the highest rating on this show. There's two matches that got 4.5, so I thought it was excellent. It's actually a match that I'd probably watch a second time if given the opportunity. TNA loves to do these flashbacks in the episodes every once in a while. Like if you're gonna play a match again, this is probably one of the ones to do. I would upload this full thing to YouTube if you haven't already. But the knockouts did an excellent job in this match. The next 4.5-star match was Mike Santana
That's nasty.
taking on Josh Alexander.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
And this right here, I what I said on my review with that was that this was the best I Quit match I've ever seen. From a storytelling standpoint, I said that Rey Mysterio and Chavo Guerrero was number one, but as far as like the actual action, the finish, the way that both guys were so tired, but especially Josh Alexander looked so smoked. Because that was the one thing about the previous match between Tessa and Jordan, and then the I Quit match, was that the wrestlers lost because they could not. I understand Josh quit because he didn't want to take a curb stomp onto the steel steps, but Josh and Jordan Grace basically lost because they were so beat up and tired that they could not progress any further in the match. Like I just don't feel like we get that in the storytelling of wrestling enough. Like you see Okada hit someone with a fucking clothesline and beats them, you know what I mean? And you're just watching, you're like, dude, that didn't hurt. You could have kicked out of that. But with these matches, again, the I Quit match a little bit different, but with that and with Tessa and Jordan, it really felt like the wrestlers cannot go any further. They looked smoked. They looked hurt. They were in pain, you know. But yeah, to me, this was the best I Quit match because I Quit matches are very difficult to come up with a finish that's logical and doesn't come off phony. And this was as real as they came. So much respect to that one. After that, the Hardies.
Wonderful!
My name is Jeff.
They took on the Rascals.
In one word, would I use dope? Nope.
So this got 3.25 stars. This was basically put together to introduce Faxium or whatever the name was, the NXT team, to bring him in to beef with the Rascals. Like this accomplished two things. It got them on screen to establish their storyline, and it got the Hardys on the show because the Hardys have nobody to wrestle. So they do have tag teams in TNA. Don't get me wrong, but they haven't really positioned anyone to come in here and have have a match with the Hardys. The probably best match you could do is maybe Macklin and Eric Young, but they're doing some kind of angle where Eric Young is going to turn on him any day now. So Hammerstone and Jake something, who are not important on the show, they have, I understand Hammerstone's hurt, but they haven't really built that up. So this was just like, hey, we got to get the Hardys on the show. Everyone's going to like them wrestling the Rascals. But there was no heat to this. There was no story. This is the second Hardys match and since Bound for Glory that was, hey, we're wrestling our fans. We're wrestling people who admired us growing up, all that bullshit. And they're going to use that probably a lot throughout the year, because I wouldn't be surprised if their tag team title run isn't kind of similar to like the Jordan Grace Knockouts run, where there's not really opponents, so they got to kind of manufacture some opponents, do some open challenges, kind of things like that, like zero story involved. That's kind of what I envision for them. That's why I'm saying I think they're going to be the champions for the entire year. I don't think they have anyone that can beat them. That TNA is going to have beat them. So I just don't really see a lot of stories. And then you got to remember too, the Hardys show up for one day of taping. You can go and have 2 days of taping somewhere. They're in their contract. It's clear that they show up for one day, if they show up at all. As we saw with the build up to this, all they did was record some backstage stuff during Final Resolution, and they didn't even show up for the tapings. So they're as like part time as they come for TNA with full time pay. They're like Brock Lesnar, and we're just not going to get stories throughout the year. So I don't think I think having a 3.25 star match is probably going to be what the Hardys do throughout their time in TNA. There's no interest. They're just the matches are good because they're over, and that's about it. After this, Knockouts tag, or it's not the not tag team, the Knockouts World Championship match, the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. We had Rosemary.
What's that? Is that Rosemary? What the hell is she doing?
Challenging Queen of the Garbage Match and Director of Waste Management and Sanitation, Masha Slamovich.
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
The crowd did not care about this match. And they needed to make it a garbage match, and they needed to use weapons because, number one, they always do that on every pay-per-view. There's always some kind of garbage match. They feel they have to do it. But Masha has had nothing but garbage matches as the champion, so this means nothing. I think they should have just kind of trusted Rosemary to go out there and have a good match. I think the fans would have had interest in that. Now, Rosemary was the opponent here because, number one, Masha has nobody to wrestle, which they fixed that when they brought Cora Jade out. And number two, the NXT audience was familiar with her because she was on TV for a while. She's teaming with Wendy Chu. And we know that this audience, this great looking audience that we had for Genesis, there was a lot of NXT fans, WWE fans, casual wrestling fans, whatever. Like these were not TNA hardcores. So those individuals were familiar with Rosemary. I think probably more familiar than Masha, to be honest with you. I think they should have just went for it. I said, man, I even said this when Mickey James was the champion. But Mickey, Jordan, Masha, like, just have the girls go out there and have good matches with them. Give them a chance. It just seems like, oh, well, Tasha Steelz is the opponent. Oh, well, Alicia Edwards is the opponent. Oh, so-and-so is the opponent. Like, they can't hang, so let's throw some fucking weapons in there. Like, give them an opportunity to wrestle and use the fact that you have a good champion to try to get the opponent over a little bit. That's just kind of what I think. So I don't think we have to do this garbage match every single time that Masha wrestles someone on the Knockouts roster because you're not going to do it with Cora Jade, I promise you. But yeah, the people weren't really into this. The story was kind of thrown together. Now, you know what? I'm not even going to say that. They were laying out Rosemary challenging for the title for months. But it was just kind of, they had the weird confessional thing, which wasn't that bad, but there was just nothing to really sink your teeth into. It was kind of one of the longer stories on the show, but it never like really progressed to a point where people really, really wanted to watch the match. So, yeah, that was 2.25 stars. I'm actually surprised they threw the quarter star in there, to be honest. And then we had the main event. The TNA World Champion Nick Nemeth.
I've been talking to people walking here. We've been talking about next year, and I'm sitting there saying, I'm not going to be here.
And he took on Joe Hendry.
Believe that.
So this was 3.75 stars. This was the only title match on the show, and I think they did that purposely to make Joe Hendry's title win stand out. I don't think that was necessary. I don't think it's, let's keep the titles on Spitfire so we don't take the shine off Joe Hendry. Like, get the hell out of here. The 3.75 is crazy because, as I said, he gave Josh Mack. Jesus Christ, I'm just blending all their names together. Steve Macklin and Josh Alexander, he gave that 3.5 stars. The match that they had where he zip tied Steve Macklin and had to, beat him down until they called the match. Like, So you're gonna give that with the storytelling and everything and the physicality, you're gonna give that 3.5. But then this, one of the laziest world title matches, overbooked title matches that we have seen, 3 3/4. Everybody came out. I ran out during this match. So Joe Hendry won this thing. We knew he was gonna win it, but that's a pretty generous rating because I probably would have given this just 3 stars flat if I was a stars guy, which I'm not. I probably would have given it 3 flat. I think this was honestly a fucking pussy hair better than the freaking Knockouts title match with Masha and Rosemary. Like, I don't think it was, they didn't do anything. Nick Nemeth has not stolen the show one single time since he has freaking wrestled in this company. Maybe his match at Slammiversary with Moose was one of the better matches on the show. Other than that, dude has not stolen the show a single time. Joe Hendry has not even really had a good match in a while. I think, obviously with Josh Alexander, but everyone does. He's had a couple matches here or there, but it's always shenanigans. It's always fuckery. It's always someone coming down. It's always someone running in or something like that between the two of these guys. So I thought this match was extremely boring. I was just like, get to the finish where Joe wins. That's kind of how I felt watching this thing. So that is the star ratings for Dave Meltzer. We will be back soon. I have not watched the live episode of TNA. I wanted to watch it as it aired. I just couldn't. I was so slammed that day. I was actually busy up until I went to bed. It was one of those things. I looked at the clock. I was like, shit, I got to get in bed in 15 minutes. So it was just a pretty crazy day. And then today I will be out of town all day. I'm taking my son to see his girlfriend about 4 hours away. So I got a day to kill. So I am going to watch it. And then tomorrow on Sunday, I will review the show. One time for your mind. And until then, I'm your boy BQ. I'm out. Peace.